Hey Atlanta, this is Brandon Maddox, CEO of the Baldwin Project, here for another episode of the Baldwin Business Journal, our February issue. For our February issue, we have Stephen T. Austin here, the creator of Kings and Queens Matchmaking Service, and we're going to get into his entrepreneurial story of what it took to create it and the event that's coming up early this month for that. All right?
Okay, so Kings and Queens is a matchmaking service that was designed specifically for black gay men who are seeking something a little more serious in their dating life, hoping to meet somebody that they can form a more personal or permanent relationship with. Kings and Queens is targeting, I guess our most widespread demographic would generally be any black, gay or bi or whatever, men who are single and available and looking for something permanent. And I formed Kings and Queens largely because we are an underserved community. Or in many cases, we are not legitimized unless we are partnered with someone who is not like us. So in an effort to satisfy the desire that has been widespread all along, I formed this company that I hope will help guys to focus on the more, let's say, necessary or practical parts of developing a serious romantic relationship with another individual.
All right. Well, I want to go back to the very beginning of what led you to create the Kings and Queens. For example, as we know, the Blakesons, it was the impetus behind the creation of the Baldwin Project.
Right.
So what happened, or what can you bring it back to that first gave you the idea that this is what we need?
I have to say, I don't know that there was a catalyst, that there was something that made me say, but I will say, obviously, necessity is still the mother of invention. But I came across Kings and Queens because when I was coming out, or shortly thereafter, I have a lot of black friends. I have virtually no white friends, and that is also the case for many men that I associate with. So, or at least at that time. And I know that I don't hear much, let's say, clamor from these black men to be with white men. Like, I'll tell you a story. Many years ago, I had a friend who asked me one day what was the difference between the clubs here in Atlanta. He wanted to know where the mixed clubs were. And I told him there aren't any. We over here, they over there. Now there's nothing, nobody's firebombing anybody, we just party differently, but you can break it down to music even. There's some artists you never hear in one of our clubs, and the opposite is also, the converse is also true. So I say that to say that there are many of us who do prefer the comfort and company of each other, and don't feel the need to feel like we have to be with someone who is not like us in order to feel some sort of acceptance or pride or what have you. But I do know that, or I also, and of course half of this is experience, myself. I was out there in the streets too.
This back to
this, easily like 2005 maybe was when I had that conversation.
2005.
But I think I didn't really start to develop the idea until 2007. I was working at a tuxedo store that actually is not around anymore. But the manager who hired me and the assistant manager, they were both black gay men. So, and being a tuxedo store, we're not selling things. We're kind of busy on the weekend. People rent something for a wedding and they bring it back on Sunday. So during the week, we're chilling. So we would talk about stuff like that. And there was always a lot of, somebody should do that. And it just kept being talking. And, Gandhi said, be the change you want to see. So
So Stephen, you brought up a very important element that I would like you to highlight. You're a native of Atlanta, correct?
Yes,
I'm not. I'm from Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And you brought up the separateness between the races or the culture, white and black, here in Atlanta, which for me was kind of a culture shock coming here. Yes, Baltimore has, we say the thing about the white gay community is not fair to us. We say that in Baltimore, that happens. But there is definitely more of an interaction and a seeming one family between white and black in Baltimore, even though there's some kind of inter-family strife, than it is here in Atlanta. It's almost like it's two separate communities, like the tale of two cities. And so I wanted you to expound on that, like you were just saying, is that being in Atlanta, this has been your experience. I don't think that your race or hate anybody, but this has just been your experience. And from that, why it is that we should feel sufficient among ourselves in our community.
Well, I think that's always been important, and that is certainly the goal behind Kings and Queens. My business was not built on a design of exclusion. Mm-hmm. So it's not about trying to eliminate certain people. It's not a country club. Mm-hmm. It's more like a barbershop. When you create a business like that, that is designed for a certain type of individual. But there are some people who might fit that mold that are not, let's say, traditional. So a woman can come into a barbershop and get her shortcut maintained. Mm-hmm. So it's not about, it's and they're not saying, the He-Man Woman Haters Club. It's not the same thing. So, but there has been issue with us for a long time, and even if that's just from, I don't know if part of that is the South. I don't know if half of it is I'm not old enough. It could be. But across the country, there are plenty of people who need to be able to see themselves, who need to stop feeling like they have to fit within a certain mold or frame to be accepted or loved by one or more individuals, including themselves.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm of the opinion that people should be open to all kinds of experiences with people, white, black, different faiths, and whatever the case may be. However, I also feel that it's important for you to have something in common with your mate. And so I wanted to bring with that concern that we just discussed, how important is it for a gay male couple to have a cultural connection, like a shared heritage?
I think that heritage or cultural connection I think it's important, and I think that it can do a lot to help a relationship develop more quickly. But, we have friends with people that we have no connection with, co-workers or people you see all the time that are nothing like you. People you feel like might not understand anything about you, including the food you eat, the way you speak, how you dress, any of that kind of stuff. So, but I also at the same time don't think that, again, you should be cut off to it. It's a good idea to experiment with those things, but I've always said, and I'll say this here, people say you can't help who you fall in love with. Mm-hmm. I completely disagree. Because half of it is the allowance for these next lines to be crossed. It's one thing to talk to somebody, it's another thing to be their friend, it's another thing to invite them in your home, it's another thing to marry them, to have sex with them, to have a child with them. These are all steps that you consciously decide that you would like to engage in. So it's a good thing to be open to whatever, but love is usually not by accident.
Okay, Stephen. Being a friend of yours, I imagine that people come to you with a lot of your relationship concerns.
All the time.
What are 3 commonly asked questions, and what would be your kind of generic responses to many of them?
Okay. One of the good questions that I get all the time is, how else can I meet people? Now, let me just also say, I do get more questions from gay men than I do from like my girlfriends or what have you. But one of them is, probably the most common, is about where they can go to find, where have all the good guys gone. And I tell people that I don't think there's anything wrong with being online. I know a lot of folks have their grievances and concerns and paranoia about doing that. And people will say, well, everybody on there just looking for sex. Okay, but just because you can buy shoes at the grocery store doesn't make it a shoe store. So you have to be selective and be conscious of your part in all of this, because people like to brush aside blame, if you will, for why certain interactions don't work out. So everything from the text you type, the pictures, how you're describing yourself one way or another, you lie about your age or weight, or other things that do tend to, kind of cut people or make people not want to initiate any contact. It's not a good idea to sound bitter. When they ask you about what do you want or what you like, talk about what you like. Mm-hmm. Don't say, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. Most of the real reason for that is because much of that is subjective. Mm. So when you start talking about who's fat, who's short, who's old, it depends. It always depends. Mm. And many times you get a much better perception of someone after you've spoken with them face to face than you ever would, trying to do that online. Mm-hmm. Okay. And another question I get a lot is about follow-up. Mm-hmm. Why didn't I get called back, or why didn't he text me back, or whatever? And of course, I got another one too. Okay, so, but another question that I get is about why you don't get a follow-up. And I guess I would say that you have to kind of expect that, honestly, as part of what could happen. You all can go out and you can have a great time, and they can seem like they're having a great time, but it doesn't, pan out, and there's no real, I'll say, rhyme or reason for that. And I would also say that there are a lot of us who are, let's say, damsels in distress. Mm-hmm. That there's a lot of, I'm waiting on him to make the move. And if you don't ever reach out, because that to me is one of those parallels, one of those dynamics that changes because it's two men. Uh-huh. So now either of you can do one thing or the other for the other. And that would include the follow-up after the date. So if you were interested, you should say something. And if you don't get a response,
So I would say, in taking the initiative, if you generally appreciated the event, tell them. Like, I had a great time or whatever. Mm-hmm. And if the feelings are mutual, then you move forward. But if not, I guess that requires us to be mature enough to accept that we are not right for everyone. Right. That's a good thing to know that early on.
Absolutely, mm-hmm. Absolutely. But to be dismissed, let's say, because you all are not compatible, are not legitimately compatible behind interest, is a very different thing than being,
Isn't that the purpose of dating anyway? It's not only to decide who is right for you, but who is not right for you.
Correct. Mm-hmm. So there's other things that you can discover about somebody, even something that they might mention that you might have never thought about. It just never came up. Whatever. Like, recently I had someone ask me about my event that's coming up, mm-hmm. and speed dating event, and this person asked me about trans men being a part of the festivities.
That's someone born female transitioning.
That is correct. Yes. Okay. So again, not built on exclusion. Mm-hmm. I said fine. Come in, roll the dice like everybody else. But it was something that had not crossed my mind. And so in all the time that I had been working so hard to put this together, and then you out of left field. And you can imagine being on a date with somebody you are highly attracted to, and then they're like...
Yes, I wanted to talk about in those cases, mm-hmm. what are good recovery coping mechanisms? Because the first time it happens, I would say to anyone, it hurts. You know, it's disappointing. But over if it happens a few times, you just okay, roll on and you're fine. You know.
Well, yes. Now I have to tell you personally, I don't. I don't know if it's the fact that over time, I've been in these streets a long time, so I've seen and heard a lot. I have been rejected other people. I know what that is. So I guess when you say coping mechanisms, that sounds a little therapeutic, almost kind of heavy, because a breakup from a relationship, I think, would be very, or just be exponentially more difficult to acclimate to, as opposed to somebody that calls you back for a second.
For me, that's just me, being a empathetic person, it is almost easier for me to be rejected than to having to reject someone.
Well, yeah, I mean, but some people are cold-blooded and they don't care, and they on to the next, and that's fine. But I also think that I guess, so to answer your question, maybe sometimes some people believe that man's rejection is God's protection. Is that how it goes? Okay. So you could look at it in that sense and feel like, well, okay, maybe they were more trouble than they were. And in many cases, that's usually the case. I mean, I've been on plenty of dates behind being nice. And then I
hurt somebody's feelings.
Right.
Then
I get home,
you're not into it.
and they had a nerve to block me, the unmitigated dog. So it's like, that's fine, but I gave my charity, so I don't have to donate to the Salvation Army because I went out with this one over here. Okay. So if that made his day or didn't, then that's fine too. So, okay, and I did want to actually mention the third or a third question that I get often. It's probably, I might want to say, the silliest question, I think, but the question is usually, how are you a matchmaker and you're still single? So, without being highly offended, what I will answer with is that because I'm out here with the rest of y'all, because I know what y'all are up against. See, if I come out here and I found somebody when I was 21, and like those articles you've seen online, I'm sure, and shacked up with some boy and got married on the courthouse steps and went and lived on a mountain at that age, of course I wouldn't know anything about what's out here today and how to navigate and how to deal with people online, in person, at the club. So, half of that is just being out here with the rest of y'all. So I know how people say one thing and mean something else, or in one form or another, whether that's even could even be nonverbal.
The games people
So
play.
yeah. I mean, I don't always think it's games necessarily. I don't feel like people are always malicious and deviant and shady, but it is a very difficult thing to navigate, especially for people who are otherwise shy or introverted or naive even.
Well, we just got to be here for just a few minutes, and the subject matter of dating and relationships among black gay men is such a loaded topic that we're probably not going to touch upon all the fine points that are in that, but we probably will in a later interview. So I wanted to move forward with that we've got the idea why you felt that this is needed, but how did you get started with creating that, and what was that like? What did you learn?
Well, the first thing that I thought I would do is actually to write the business plan.
Okay.
Because I knew you needed one, had not really had much experience with one, and I found an excellent template, but I don't remember like any site or anything, but I know it was from some university, and it was about 20-page document on its own, but it was full of all kinds of questions and things that, again, I had not really considered. The first section had to do with all the stuff that I think pops in your head. So the name, what you do, where it's located, who it would serve, all of that. But then the second question was, the second section is about the marketing piece of it. And the first question in that section was, what is the total size of your market?
Okay.
So I had to find out the number of black, gay, single men who live in Atlanta. And this was during a time when the census did not acknowledge same-sex relationships.
So it's hard to get accurate data. So
Absolutely.
It's a lot of guesstimation.
Oh, yeah. So, and of course, when you're trying to sell this idea to people, or to banks, I did a lot of the traditional stuff to see. That's obviously one of their questions. They need to be sure that there is a need for what you are trying to conceive. Mm-hmm. So I did have some help. One of my really good friends, Ronald Brown, did some research, brought me the Gay and Lesbian Atlas. Had no idea that something like that even existed. But I mean, they had it down to the county. It was fascinating. But they had a lot of information in there, so I was able to get the stuff that I needed. Mm-hmm. And finish that section. And then the last section is the financial projections and how how the business will continue to run itself over time. Mm-hmm. Now, those things may change, and obviously different businesses function different ways, and of course I run up against my own issues based on the kind of business I am developing. But I will say that to my knowledge, there is not another business that either focuses solely on black gay men, mm-hmm. Or that is localized to Atlanta. So to that end, we will be having a speed dating event on February 7th. So it's 1 week before Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. And you'll be able to come through and meet some guys, mm-hmm. Hopefully have your results by the 10th, mm-hmm. and then schedule a date with one of them for Valentine's Day, so you're not at the house. So that's the idea.
What I'd like to outline,
mm-hmm.
These interviews, so people are listening, bring that out. I heard that, you see a need for mm-hmm. something like, why is this that this could be working better? Come up with an idea how that could work better. And then begin developing that idea along a business plan. And we have a course coming up that will help you do just that. And then once you have your plan, mm-hmm. then you got to execute.
Right.
And so now you are in the execution phase. Mm-hmm. And that will be, presenting it to the market.
Right. Okay, so the event's going to be held on Tuesday, February 7th, at 6 o'clock at the Philip Rush Center. Okay. And many people know where the Rush Center is. Mm-hmm. If you don't, you can Google it. And it's accessible by MARTA, which is important in this town. And then
that's the Candler Park station.
Right. Okay, good. Thank you. It's $10. And as far as the attire is concerned, I'm big on individuality. So however you dress, whatever you do, just polish it up a little more so that it will make for a more engaging evening.
All right, so Stephen, so would you like, coming to this event, a good dating tip so people show up and prepare to have a great time at your event?
I think at the event, for sure, and it's probably pretty practical in your own dating life, if you can't say no, say yes. Which means if they have not eliminated themselves by something drastic, I won't say drastic, but the kind of thing where, if you're not ruling them out, much like, any reality show. I mean, they all silly, but whether it's, Top Model or The Bachelor, I'm thinking that one. I don't know why that escaped my mind, but, they keep getting roses till they don't give them no more.
Give them a chance to give yourself a chance.
Keep going. Just see what happens, and then maybe if he is a bad kisser, well, or you might feel like you can teach him, right? And then you can keep moving, and it's something else, and and it could be on anything. But I would say that is the one thing I feel like people do kind of discard folks a little quickly, and then they kind of go through all their options more abruptly than I think they want.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. It was an awesome interview.
Absolutely.
Make sure you are there with us February 7th at the Phillips Rush Center. And like he said, Give someone else a chance and give yourself a chance on love. See you later, Atlanta.